Hey everybody, welcome to GT Live. I am your host, Brandon Jones. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Bossman, who's going to be in the community taking your questions. Very exciting episode today. I consider this the first official GT Live of the new year.
It's the new season.
And one of the biggest games to be coming out this year is XCOM 2, and we thankfully have a couple of nice gentlemen from Firaxis Games. We have Garth and Mark, who are working on XCOM 2, which we have behind us, which Ben Moore is currently going to be playing. We are starting on Commander difficulty, I believe.
Yeah,
this was specified beforehand.
They roped me into playing Commander. And they're like, oh, come on, you've played the game. I've never been more nervous to play a game on GT Live.
He was bragging so
that,
much.
So that was very specific, guys. Like he was like, okay, I'm just gonna set this up. You're like, why don't you just up that difficulty a little bit?
Yeah. I noticed a sense of swagger with him when Ben came in. That he
That's
gave
not
us.
true. He smelled feet.
So Ben, you have played this game. We've actually done two pretty extensive previews in the last couple months for XCOM. There's a lot to talk about. We will try to get to it as much as we possibly can, but with any luck, we will see Ben. You know, what is that? Is he just going to start back from the beginning if it's just a complete wipe within 10 minutes?
Well, you're saying what will happen if he does wipe? I like the faith that you
When
and
he
your
does wipe,
coworkers
what's
have in you,
gonna
Ben.
happen?
Yeah, that was, what was that? That was like me, bus underneath it right there. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, we could always start fresh if you have to, although there's no reloads on streams in XCOM. But we'll see how Ben does. This is a new game on Commander difficulty. This is the Gatecrasher mission where XCOM is taking the gloves off and taking it to Advent and trying to sabotage an ethereal monument.
Yeah.
So we are unfortunately not giving out codes. It's the beginning of the year. There's not lots of codes floating out into the ether. That PR marketing drive is yet to really hit as far as the abundance of codes.
But I'm still
that are being
taking
sent to us.
questions.
We got some good people here on the table, and would love to your questions to ask them at the end of the show. But I'm going to kick things off with questions.
Sure.
One thing that I did like. Well, first of all, you were a couple years ago. The original XCOM was our game of the year. Did you guys work on that game as well?
I did. I
I'll say
Well,
I
it was
did.
good,
Yes.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark, you did.
I also liked it.
Mark was there with us in spirit before he came on and played a monumental role in XCOM 2. But yeah, I was the producer on that project as well. I actually remember vividly seeing the I think you guys gave us overall game of the year in 2012, which the team there was a really strong energy that day in the office because everyone was really excited to we didn't expect that from game trailers, and it was really a nice honor.
Well, we just wrapped up our Game of the Year awards, and we're heading into a new year. What did you think of strategy in 2015? How do you feel the state of the genre is?
I think it's I think it's getting better and better. I know I'm coming from a little bit of a biased standpoint, but there's
the
so
best
many
genre, definitely.
the best, the greatest. There's so many cool deep games that come out, and it's such a wide spectrum. Some of the latest ones that have come out, like Darkest Dungeon, which I'm playing. I know Nuclear Throne is this really awesome experience. What do you think?
Well, Nuclear Throne's not so much strategy. It's more roguelike. But
Yes.
I mean, Invisible Ink. Yeah, I think seeing indie games and AAA games coming out in strategy, it's all great to see. And I think the 2012 XCOM was a big part of kind of why we see a lot of strategy games now, because it proved that there is potentially a really big audience for it, and we obviously love that because we love our strategy. So yeah, it's a cool time to make a strategy game.
We mentioned, independent strategy games, and I think we've seen a lot more of those, as the years have gone on. Is there a little, not only is, I'm assuming you guys are feeling tremendous pressure following the Game Trailers 2012 Game of the Year, but, as someone, similar to a StarCraft, I feel you guys are kind of leading the charge as far as, AAA strategy games. Any pressure there, just to kind of show the smaller teams how it's done?
Well, I mean, I think there's certainly some pressure. I think the XCOM team saw it as a huge responsibility. Sort of on our shoulders, there was this goal of bringing back turn-based tactics, and there's really nothing else like it with the strategy meta layer as well. But to bring that back and to do it in such a big way and have the support on a AAA scale from 2K, there definitely is a responsibility that comes with that, and it's awesome to see that it succeeded. And not just for us, but we're, like Mark was saying, we're such huge fans of the genre. So you see these other games crop up. We don't necessarily. I don't think we see it as like we're the leader or anything like that. But we learn from them as well, and we play their games after they come out. The Massive Chalices. I loved Banner Saga. I thought that was a really cool inspiration for the squad-based stuff. Invisible Ink was awesome. But seeing those sort of crop up, who knows if they would have happened with XCOM or not. But I think we all learn from each other, and it's cool to see this genre sort of blossom at this time in 2015. I wouldn't have expected it, really. I was playing Tactics and Vandal Hearts and Shining Force when I was in middle school, and it's awesome to now be a part of this thing, this rebirth at this time.
Ian, you like games that are very cruel to you.
That's
Ian's a big
true.
Bloodborne fan. And of course, Ian is on the mic and on the TriCaster.
Hi.
Thank you for running the show, Ian. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Is XCOM 2 a game you're going to spend some time with before the year's out?
Oh, absolutely. I love
Absolutely.
One. Yeah. One was great.
We'll know. We'll know if you have.
We will look back. We'll have you
Yeah.
guys on.
Ian seems excited.
Yeah.
I am.
All right.
Oh yeah. Ian's a laid back guy.
Oh, all right.
That's
all right.
that's as much as you can get from him, really.
Bloodborne gets me like a little higher than that, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I see how it is. All right.
Based off knowing Ian as much as I do, I think you just did pretty well.
Okay. Okay. We'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll take that.
We'll get there.
Yes.
Did the first XCOM release early in the year? Was that like a January, February, March-ish game?
No, it released in October
Okay.
of 2012.
It's interesting when we, go into Game of the Year deliberations, because this is still in our heads. It being January, we wrapped that up last month. That it's tough to think back in January, February, March. Something like Evolve last year was like, oh yeah, that was this year. Are you nervous that you might not get, you might be forgotten, only like 8-9 months later when people are going back looking at the year?
No, I don't think so. I think the community and journalists do a fair job of looking at things collectively. I think I agree with you. It's easier to forget about those earlier games when you just do a passing glance. But from what I understand, you guys enter your war rooms and throw everything up on the board, and you do your due diligence to give everyone a fair shake.
It's fun. It's tough not to be skeptical because this is like one of the first games we got to check out, this year, and we're just like, are we looking at the 2016 Game of the Year right now?
It was-
January? Are we done?
No,
Is it,
hey.
are the votes done?
It was funny
Did we
you
wrap
said
it up?
that. I assume no one cares about our awards, So it was funny when you said just like it really meant a lot to us. You know what I mean?
They care when they win.
Yeah.
When they win,
okay,
they care
sure.
a lot.
Maybe that's the case.
Yeah, if you
That's
win.
true.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
like, these awards mean nothing.
That's the way it only benefits us to have more categories. Then you have more winners, and we get
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
appreciation for the awards that we do.
Absolutely.
But I think you can tell that there's just a lot to this game. I mean, even in the limited time that I had spent with the first game, there's a lot going on, a lot to think of. Clearly, when I finish a mission, the first thing I want to do is just like, I know I can do that better. I can go
Yeah.
back and try again.
That's one of my favorite parts about this game is the feeling when you lose. XCOM is all about loss.
That guy just
Oh, what
died
happened?
as
I missed
well.
it.
Ben, who died?
Hold on, did Ben just lose somebody?
Yeah, I lost some.
Thank you for calling that out. I don't want to miss any of these. So
Speaking of
What was
loss,
the player's
Ben,
name?
Ben, if you lose
I don't
somebody,
know.
can you just give a squeal or something so we can direct
Yeah,
our
no,
attention?
I think there's another one going
Oh,
down.
God.
right
no,
here.
no.
She
She's
panicked.
all right.
She panicked.
She's
so.
okay. But generally, when you lose, when you have that feeling of I want to go back in because there's a way that I could have done that better, and that applies to tactical. That applies up on the strategy side of this game, which is so much more that you can do on it.
Yeah, definitely. You can definitely trace back your mistake way back to sometimes months before. You're like, oh, if I had built this kind of weapon instead of armor like an idiot, I'd be able to do that one extra damage right here. So yeah, it's definitely trying to find the optimal path and reevaluating and retrying is a big part of the experience. Unless you do Iron Man, then it's like
Right.
really retrying because you completely lost. But
So not just missions individually, but the entire campaign. Looking back.
Yeah, absolutely.
missions
It's
later.
such a. I mean, you're low level, boots on the ground, like our friend Ben right here, about to. Oh, good.
Yep.
He
I
survived.
have
Oh, he died.
I
again.
have one person left.
So that can also you have those moments, you have those visceral moments where you lose your guys on the ground. And Ben, what did you do wrong there? Like, is there a real time example of what we're talking about? That...
Yeah, I can point to something very specifically. It was arrogance. I thought I killed everybody, and there was another
The-
squad waiting in the shadows.
hubris.
Okay.
So-
All right. All right. So that can happen here, and then yes, from a high level, you have that feeling as well of how could I have built the resistance faster? How could I have went for this this gear in a different way?
Ooh, restart.
Restart. Whoa.
We restarted.
I like how he tried.
Are you going to do it again on Commander, or are you going to
No.
You
If
can dial
anything,
back.
I'm gonna bump it up. I will not bump it
Whoa.
down.
Oh, all right. I love his
Not
attitude.
down.
Right.
Well, I don't mean to brag, but Garth and I have been playing on an even harder difficulty.
We've been
Yeah.
doing Legend this week,
Yeah.
right? But
doing
now,
completely fine.
to be fair, we play the game a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe for
I
a few
appre-
hundred hours.
I
Whatever.
appreciate Ben. I mean, it's hard to play on a show and hear people talking crap to you. I don't know if I can curse right now.
You can
Oh, yeah.
absolutely can
Oh,
if
you
you
can.
want to. Yeah.
Okay.
Talking.
The
Ben,
thing about
with any luck, Ben will be cursing a lot
Talking
before the
poo-poo.
stream.
Talking poops to you, and that's it's hard. And this is his first time playing Commander, so I commend you for trying.
Hey,
And let's see how you do this time.
Your game has taught me something, and I think this is very important. I play a lot of video games, and sometimes you just kind of get into a rhythm with your game. You're like, yeah, I'm getting pretty good at this. Like,
Right.
I'm all right. I'm probably better than the average person at this video game. XCOM 2 is the exact opposite experience. Where you're like, no, I'm just dumb. I'm just a dumb human being that is clearly incapable of making competent decisions.
No,
you have
but
to swallow your pride.
You keep at it, and you will
Yeah.
feel.
We believe
you
in
feel
you.
smart. Yes.
So as long as we're harping on poor Ben and talking about difficulty, what are the differences in difficulty? Like how do you ramp something like that up beyond hit points and speed and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
the basic stat stuff is obviously one way to do it. The lower difficulties have some shackles on the AI and some shot modification, like we won't let you miss a bunch in a row on the very easiest difficulties. And then the harder ones, the AI is unshackled, and none of that stuff is there to help you. And on the strategic layer, stuff will cost more and take longer, so you kind of end up going into tactical with less stuff, and it's much harder. And you kind of have to play more optimally on the strategy layer to even be able to do well in the tactical. Anything
Sounds
else?
like regular for me. All right.
Yeah.
It's not. That's a hard sell.
That's where you can. We definitely recommend people starting on veteran or lower, which is our normal setting, and then we also have a rookie, which is easy.
When your normal setting's called veteran, that that game means business.
Start on a normal called like Ultimate Badass.
We definitely recommend people starting there for multiple reasons. I mean, also the tutorial, which has this really awesome narrative stuff up front, and it teaches you how to play. It teaches you the new systems on the strategy side as well. Definitely play that your first time. Even if you are a prideful XCOM veteran, play that the first time, and then you can bump it up once you start owning the game a little bit. But we do take pride in how much teeth this game has, and we want people to bump it up once they feel confident. But definitely start on a more lower difficulty.
So what responsibilities you guys have in the company? I mean, I'm sure as we're getting closer to launch, there's nothing you guys aren't taking care of, or problems that are being thrown at you and fires you have to put out. But on a regular Firaxis day, what are your roles in the company?
I don't do jack shit.
Right?
No. I'm the lead producer on the project. I'm a senior producer at Firaxis, and it's my job to be aware of the budget, what everyone on the team is doing, know a little bit about what everyone is doing, so I can support them in any way and support design and the vision that they're trying to create. Mark?
Yeah, so I'm a designer. So at Firaxis, we're also designer programmers. So I did a lot of talking with Jake and the rest of the design on general stuff, and I also implemented a lot of the strategic layer, and very early I did some procedural map stuff. And as the project goes on, you kind of have a hand in a lot of stuff. So.
Mark got his hands dirty in almost all of the cool new systems. Like he
Yeah.
started on procedural maps.
Hey, you're new.
what'd you say?
Make
Yeah.
the procedural maps.
That's right.
Implemented the strategic layer. Is that what you just said?
I like how you just said.
Yeah.
I've been asking you to do that for years, Kyle.
He did actually do a ton of it.
For a while, it was like mostly just only me. But
What does that mean, though? What does it mean to implement a strategic layer?
Well, the whole.
I like you just perked up. I don't know why this interests you so much, but Mark,
So-
please enlighten him.
Do you want to talk about budget stuff? Sure, absolutely.
Before I say that, I've had a lot of
Yeah.
help. I don't want to take all the credit.
Cool.
But so strategic layer is everything that's not kind of what we're watching now. So the world map and the base building and research and building items. So all those kind of systems which aren't as kind of this like the tactical gameplay is very like content dependent. There's a lot of animations and abilities, and a lot of the engineering work goes into that. But I was able to work mostly with user interface people to try to get these systems up and running really quickly to build the base, and we did a lot of iteration so we could kind of refine the mechanics. So that was what I did for a long time. Yeah.
And just to be clear, the strategy layer is the base building. It's the
Like
the
your
other
upgrades
the
and
other
things like
game,
that.
not this tactical.
and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
world
yeah.
map and
Yep.
Like when you're saying, like, I wish that I upgraded my attack versus my defense and things like that. Things
yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
So that's all what we call strategic layer, and we call boots on the ground the tactical layer. Is kind of how we refer to it.
Tactical layer.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that stuff's interesting to us, how you describe your game from the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff
Yeah.
we just take for granted.
Yeah. That's right.
The cool lingo, tactical layer.
That's right. You could call it whatever you want. This could be combat. You could call the other one, geoscape. There's a lot of different terms.
Well, that's the thing is I really hate the word combat.
Yes.
Because it's just
Well, never mind then.
a
It's
broad
just
word that we
tactical.
use for everything,
Yes.
and you can just say, a game has bad combat, and like that's it for the game. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
now we can say the tactical layer
Is bad.
Is bad.
Right.
Yeah. Strategic layer, great though.
Yes. Right, Mark.
The code on that one.
Impeccable.
One of the things I remember our team talking about with XCOM, the original XCOM, and I think one of the things that contributed to us, awarding it Game of the Year was it seemed like an incredibly polished experience, and this was a game that was ready to come out, and I think that's something that in 2014, 2015 people are kind of getting frustrated with, is there's lots of games, Fallout from last year, like that's an incredible game. That is a game that has a lot of issues. Being in charge of the budget, were there any lessons you took from the development time of XCOM that you were able to apply this year? Is it dangerous and difficult to give this game, a game of this size, the time that it needs in the cooker to match expectations?
It's one of the soft elements that is arguably the biggest challenge of just trying to weigh scope versus time, and scope generally equates to quality, and you want to get as much fun in the game for the player, but that can start tugging at the polish level, the bugs, the things that then can prevent that fun. So balancing those is a huge challenge, and then a sequel timeline is shorter than when you start a new IP. And Enemy Unknown was treated as a new IP, even though UFO Defense came out in '94. So we had a shorter timeline, but the team did a really good job of saying this is what we need to do to get the game playable, and then we're sort of going to have this final push to polish it up as much as we can. We're really aware of some other. I guess the fallout of fans and community. They're everything to us at Firaxis for the Civilization side and also XCOM, and we want to make sure that we're giving the fans a polished experience that doesn't sort of rob them of the time and money that they're giving to our game. So doesn't mean there won't be any bugs, but we definitely want
unless they play poorly, and then you want to rob that time real quick.
Well, they'll once they learn, they'll be happy. But we wanted to have a very polished experience, and that's sort of what the past few months have been. It's just been focused on, we had all the systems in, all the features in, fully playable, and we have just been laser focused on play, iterate, balance, squash bugs, and make it as tight as possible.
So I mean, you guys are bragging, but I think if you were not up to legendary status at this point, playing at that difficdiffity setting, I'd be very concerned. If you weren't able to,
I can't beat it.
Get to that point and be comfortable.
I hope the end of the game's good. I've never seen it.
This is true. Yeah, they did the work to implement it, but we haven't been playing it. We don't know if it's being.
Playing the balance. It's funny because all my life I'm like, they're like, oh, game designer, you play games all day? I'm like, no. And then my last few months is like, yeah, this is what I mostly do. Yeah. I get to play it and make sure the experience is good all the way through is definitely a big part of it.
Can you give us an example of a moment where, you're in this weird position where if you die, if something is too hard, you could say, oh, that's the game's fault, and then you could fix it. You know what I mean? So how do you find that balance personally? How do you say, oh, that was fair, or oh, I need to fix that?
Oh, yeah, it's tough. You kind of have to have some, get some boundaries of the okay attrition rate of your soldiers, because they will definitely die. So usually we'll play through a bit, and then designers and whoever's been playing will meet up and be like, well, how'd it go? My memorial is this full. That seems normal. It's tough though, because you obviously inside you want to be good at the game, so you feel like you're a good gamer. But I don't know, it wasn't really too much of an issue, because it all seems kind of fair, and if there's that many aliens on the harder difficulties, then you expect guys to die. And
I don't give a crap. I just play and die for them and tell them how many people I lose, and then they design changes that as they want to.
Yeah.
But I mean that's all part of the balancing process. And
Yeah.
Ben, kind of fair is the official word from Firaxis. How are you feeling?
Tough parenting is how I would
Okay.
describe XCOM. Yeah.
it's because we
But
care.
you love your parents,
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay.
How are the
Okay.
units doing, man? Are you doing okay this time?
What's
So
this-
I
the
was
sitch?
feeling so good because I made it through the first skirmish flawlessly.
Yeah.
Then I rolled bad on some of my attacks, and I got the aliens rolled really well. They got a critical on 2 hits in a row, and Now I only have 2 people
What
left.
sort of shots were you taking? Like rough percentages? Were they?
About 50%.
Okay. All
About
right.
50%.
Oh, you can't take those shots.
Ben's in a rough spot because this is the first mission, so they're all rookies. So he doesn't
Yeah.
have abilities yet.
Yeah.
He doesn't have class upgrades. He doesn't have items other than a few grenades.
I appreciate that.
I'm
Thank
trying to help you.
Thank you.
I love that you went to commander blindly. So I'm gonna protect you until you die again.
All right.
Yeah, one more time and
Yeah. Then
This
you've
guy-
lost our respect.
Gonna laugh at point.
That's right.
Are the percentages real? Can we just ask you straight up? The percentages are always
the
true?
the percentages are only not true on the easier difficulties when they are in your favor. So,
Oh, interesting.
but in general, like XCOM is one of the only games that the percentages are actually true all the time. Like we don't roll twice, or I think 'cause, Fire Emblem does a thing where they roll twice and kind of average it or something like that. But
I thought I saw a headline where somebody did like a huge test and it was all true, like the RNG on shots. I don't know. But
it feels like
it's
it's
true.
not real
Yes.
because bad things happen.
But it's that a psychological thing.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it does happen, it feels like it happens more than ever.
Yes.
What is this Fire Emblem thing?
I think they.
I cannot believe they rolled twice on you.
Oh yeah.
It's. I think the system how it works out is it's more in your favor if you're taking above a 50% whatever.
Yeah.
And it's worse for you if you're below 50% in Fire Emblem.
But you're just pulling real RNG. You don't need that.
No.
Well, yeah, we
Yeah.
just go 0 to 1.
Oh,
Boom.
Is that
I
a win?
see-
Is that a?
I see a win.
Yeah. I won.
Can we celebrate that?
By the
or-
skin of my teeth.
I think
Good.
that's a perfect
Rating
segue
good.
into our
Good.
next segment.
Only one
Excellent.
kill, 2 wounded. That's not bad. Well done.
If it was me and like this is my own personal playthrough, I would reload that.
Would you? Oh no! Don't tell us
Losing
that.
one rookie, you'd reload.
You're good. You're good.
Ah.
Keep it going. That's part of the.
I don't-
Part of XCOM.
It is refreshing to hear you say that it's okay if people die.
Yeah, it is. That's something that's really hard, I think, for new players to grasp, and apparently some people that have been playing for a while too.
Yeah.
But it is okay to lose. It is okay to keep going. We actually want you to a certain extent. I mean, if you start complete squad wiping, then it's okay.
Maybe start over.
But it's funny. I was playing Darkest Dungeon, and I noticed that designers now are putting that right on the front end of games sometimes. Like you will lose
Yeah.
things here. It's okay. Keep playing. And that's kind of almost a new design trend that I don't think is necessarily ingrained in sort of the player expectations. So. It's important for people to understand that it's okay to lose a little bit in XCOM.
I don't want to touch on that a little bit. Just this kind of trend of like games that beat us up and I was very tentative to get into that genre, whether it be role-playing action or strategy.
I want to bounce off that real quick, and this is the kind of psychological barrier you have to break through, right? Okay, so first mission, right? I beat it, and my guys are just like
And got good.
are
you
bravely
did
wounded
good.
and dead.
Good.
I've just got this one person that's watching her teammates suffer right now. So you have to push past it.
Yes, and that is good. So, and he's gonna get some class upgrades here.
Yeah,
Nice.
Ranger's my favorite.
Yes, they're pretty cool. You can get up close and personal and use melee on enemies now.
So just to vary the conversation a little bit, we are
Yeah.
mostly focused on XCOM 2 today, but we want to talk really quickly not only about the countdown that we're doing this week, but other games that are coming out in the year that
What the hell?
we might be concerned about a little bit.
Did we approve this? What
This week we did this for the first time last year, just because it came up as a conversation in the office of like, what games might not be that good this year and why? Why are we nervous about that at this point? It turned into a countdown, ended up being one of our most popular countdowns of the entire year. So there's no question we are going to revisit the top 10 games that might suck. The 2016 version. Number 11, XCOM is not on the list, nor is a false positive, as we call it. So no fear there.
All right.
But another one that did not make the
surprised.
list but came real close was Crackdown 3.
Sure.
I am a big fan of the Crackdown games. I don't know if I wanted them to be more than what they are, which is why I enjoyed them. Like I was kind of expecting a cheesy B movie. I think like the announcer when he comes in, like, yeah, Crackdown. I'm like,
That's
okay,
great.
I can get a sense of what this game is.
I think he's great.
Yeah.
The reason why it was almost on the list, Brandon, is that it's launching as a multiplayer-only game.
Right.
It's throwing away what worked about Crackdown 1. Crackdown 2, let's not even talk about. But yeah, so that's why it almost made the list, but it still might be a good multiplayer game, I think, is why it didn't make the list.
And as I was looking at trailers before the show, there was like the gameplay debut. There's this shot that pans back, and these buildings are toppling. All these explosions are happening. It's like
Yeah.
that does look like fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it is weird. Like we're going into this year, and it seems like a lot of companies are kind of changing the launch structure of their games. Like just today, we found out about Hitman, being like, wait, no, take those pre-orders and we're gonna release it here. You're gonna get this now. And so, like, yeah, doing that multiplayer first, it's like that could be great. Like, we could be playing Crackdown 3 multiplayer and think like, this is perfect. This is all you needed. I don't even need a campaign at this point. This is the only part of this game I need. Or yeah, it might be a sign for other things that we should be worried about.
Our guests look very uncomfortable for this conversation.
Well, this was.
I like Crackdown 1. I think, like many people, that was the Halo 3 beta game, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is
so
what
you're
that
like,
game
I'm
was.
gonna play the
Yeah.
Halo 3 beta. Then you're like, oh, this game's like actually pretty awesome. So I'm excited to see how Crackdown 3 turns out.
You know what was really cool about Crackdown 1? I was playing with buddies. We were just playing through it, I think, because we bought it for the Halo 3 beta. The final boss, we never saw him. The game gave you enough freedom that we had a rocket launcher, and we shot him from like a skyscraper away. We never saw his face, and we killed him and won the game. And I love that about that game. Like a game that lets you do things like that, and it's okay with that. I freaking, like, that was really cool.
Yeah, especially when you have games now like Just Cause 3, where they're like, don't take the story seriously.
Yeah.
Don't feel the need to actually do these missions or anything unless you want to upgrade your character. So hopefully Crackdown 3 is just fun and we are wrong. And it should be said that we hope we're wrong with all of these. You know, like, we're not saying like these games will suck. We're not saying we don't like these games. We are nervous about these games probably because we are really excited about them. 4 other entries that were not as close as Crackdown 3, but I believe deserve to be mentioned. And I want all of these games to be good. Far Cry Primal is kind of has a question mark on it because it seems like maybe less of a scale than we're used to with Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4, and even Blood Dragon.
And those guys with the masks.
Those guys with the masks.
Yeah, the bad guys.
Yeah, good.
They got like
Kyle.
big mushroom masks. I don't want to fight them.
Man, I need to see this.
Yeah. It's just
The Last Guardian was surprisingly something that
Wow.
came up because we still haven't, it's been so long, we still haven't seen a ton.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's the fear of the unknown, I think, is what a lot of propels our concerns for this list. Gears of War 4 is going in a very different direction, which could pay off really, really
I
well.
haven't seen anything on that yet.
It was one of the only, I think it was the only game in the Xbox press conference at E3 this year that was live demoed. Actually, someone walked out with a controller and played it. And it was very calm, very dark. Not a ton of enemies coming at you, which could play really well if they really play up the fear angle that we were commenting before on previous shows that the first Gears had that I think they kind of went away from. So might be a return to that. And Doom, who the heck knows? This franchise has been gone for so long. Could be great.
Yeah.
Could not be great.
Just that title, though. It's
Who knows? Yeah, I mean, just
it's
yeah,
such
exciting.
nostalgia and excitement.
You slap Doom on something. And it seems, just calling it Doom, like just calling it Tomb Raider, seems like an interesting reboot. So we'll see. People are criticizing character designs. We have yet to really return to the big reveal of Doom and really see what they're doing there. So.
Wait, who's criticizing the character designs?
I think the cacodemons have arms now.
Yeah.
I saw
What?
somebody on social media. I was like, I don't want arms on my cacodemons.
I think they look good. I really actually like their.
That game definitely looks good.
Okay.
But how much game is there, and how that game feels? A lot of people haven't gotten the chance to get their hands on Doom yet. So all sorts of reasons to be pessimistic in January of 2016. Looking at the year ahead.
I think what's
When
important.
are these coming out? When are these games coming out? Are they like
All 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. None of them in February, though. We don't know.
Yeah, that's our.
Oh, nothing stands a chance,
Yeah,
man.
Okay. They're all going to be great
February's
games.
Yeah.
They're
yours.
all going to be great games.
And there it is. So I invite you to check out the top 10 games that might suck, in
It's
2016.
not a serious list.
I mean, yeah.
It's not like
we
it's
were
meant-
serious in
It's
making
meant
it.
to be like, this is a fun list.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's never, none of it is worth making an angry comment about, is what I mean to say.
Tell that to the game.
Yeah, that
number
never
one.
happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Will that be a
You're good.
response? Hey, when I get the call from the number one game, I'll just be like, hold on a second. I'll put you on the phone. There you go,
Let me.
Kyle.
Okay.
It's a fun list.
It's just a fun list. We just made it. Okay, bye.
Just having a
Pass
laugh.
it to Ben.
Yeah.
Ben made the list.
Let's take a pause in the middle of the show and watch a trailer because we like to watch trailers here at GameTrailers.com. Not only trailers, we like to watch badass trailers. There were some fun trailers that came out this week, but I figured if something was going to take the badass moniker, we finally got a pretty lengthy stream of gameplay of the 4 characters that are coming to Mortal Kombat X in the Combat Pack 2. I actually should have written the character names down. The alien with like crazy blades is one of them.
Yep.
There's some kind of like drunken master guy who like drinks and
Yeah.
throws up and
Bo-Rai
farts
Cho,
off
yeah.
people's faces and
Well
stuff.
done, that is
Oh,
his
we got a
name.
Mortal Kombat fan. Are you looking forward to this Combat Pack?
Yeah. I have some friends in NetherRealm. Leatherface is on there, I think.
Leatherface
Yeah.
and a series of robots.
And yeah, there
Not
was
just
like
one
the
robot, but several.
The triple like cyborg, whatever.
Yeah, it's a cyborg that has like all of their
Yeah.
attributes. Was it Bo Rai Cho?
I think so.
Yeah, and that's a previous Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's a good pull though.
You're welcome, gaming news.
Yeah, there you go. But you can see all of these guys in their glory kicking ass in the Combat Pack 2 gameplay trailer for Mortal Kombat X. It's pretty badass. Check it out. We're talking shop. We're talking strategy. I don't want to interrupt, Ben. I mean, that was a legitimate question. Is there anything you
I
want to
just,
say?
for my own purposes, I need to know.
Do you want to repeat the question, Ben?
Oh, I was wondering because there are quite a few missions where you are limited by time, so you have to complete an objective and worry about these aliens. Can you just go after the objective and sneak around the aliens? And you said it's possible, but not a good approach in a lot of instances.
Yeah, it depends on where you are in your playthrough. I think if you had some rangers down the stealth tree, it becomes a lot more viable. But since concealment in general works where if you start the fight, everyone gets revealed, if you kind of sneak through a bunch of them to get to the objective, you kind of will probably get sandwiched by multiple groups, which is like never a good thing. And XCOM to fight more enemies than you might want. So, but give it a try. Do you think it could work? I think it could. You just have to be smart about it.
Yeah. It's definitely challenging.
Yeah.
Without the Rangers, there's later game mission types that make it a little more reasonable with the Rangers, like alien facilities, sabotaging facilities. You could do advanced strategies like try to kite enemies out and just use a Ranger, a Phantom Ranger, which basically means only he or she has concealment, and so you can sort of sneak through the back with them while the rest of your squad is trying to pull out the cavalry from the base and then blow up the base. Stuff like that are all viable tactics.
Did you find when you saw people loading up gameplay clips or streaming XCOM, the original XCOM, the predecessor to this game, were you seeing a lot of people, take strategies that you had not thought of, or
all the time? Yeah. You see a lot of that stuff. You see stuff that all the internal testing we do, you always find new things that completely surprise and baffle you. But that's part of the fun with these systems that the team comes up with, to sort of see how people twist them and torque them in their own way and have fun with them. So we love that sort of stuff.
So I want to talk about games beating you up for a second. Yeah. This is something that I've slowly you have a long work day. I come home, have dinner. I just want to sit down. I just want to relax.
Oh yeah.
I just want to enjoy this experience. I don't want to stress out. I don't want to reload a mission 5 times. I just want to have a good time. And then I was averse to the Soul series for so many years. Fell in love with Bloodborne last year. So I think I'm slowly warming up to this concept. Do you love both strategy and games that beat you up, or do you think this is the best way to do strategy? Is this something that is specific to XCOM? Where does this anger, this abusiveness come from?
Yeah.
It's a good
issues
question.
That we have. Yeah.
I think difficulty is inherent in the DNA of XCOM. Although a lot of strategy games certainly need challenge to sort of have that sense of you've learned something, you've overcome the problem and gotten better. That's part of, I think, being something to give to strategy players. But XCOM in particular, it is about challenge. It is about overcoming these extreme odds. Going back to the original, Microprose 94 XCOM, and the team wanted to carry that forward definitely. But we are fans of sort of this sort of mini Renaissance Dark Souls, Bloodborne stuff. Like we wear that as a badge of honor to see that XCOM kind of can rough you up a little bit. And we talk about this often. It is, you want to give that player that sense of triumph, that sense of fiero, that sense of I overcame, I did this, I learned the systems, I mastered this thing. Because that's what games are all about. They're about overcoming problems. And if they're too easy, if you get outside of that flow zone, then I don't think we're doing our job.
And
you have any other thoughts on that?
Nah, you were talking for a long time.
Sorry.
You got it.
Yeah, that's the end of the show. We got to wrap it up. Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit earlier. How tough it is to determine. Like, no, that was fair. No, looking at the numbers, I think this does even out, even though it might seem frustrating. Have you ever had a tester or somebody on the staff come to you and they're like, okay, something happened during this mission, it just seemed totally unfair, and then you look at it and you're like, no, I will approve that.
All
I think
the
that's
time.
Fine.
All the.
They're like, but I
That's
was
like
doing
half
and
my-
then I wiped, and you're like.
That's like half my day. They're like, there's like weird cases where they're like, I don't think you should overwatch your own mind controlled soldiers. I'm like, what? That sounds awesome. Of course you should do that.
Is there shorthand for get good? Do you ever say get good?
Yes.
I definitely say
do?
get good.
Mark says it all the time,
Okay.
and then he goes and he learns better and he fixes it when he decides it's the right thing to do. But yes, that's Mark's style.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe if you're better, balance.
Ben, is there anything that caught you off guard having experience in XCOM, like not just being somebody new to strategy or new to this franchise? And furthermore, directing at you guys, is there anything that you did to maybe trap players who were had experience with XCOM, or like, oh well, here's another one of these, and you're like, gotcha, because you're expecting it to be another XCOM.
Yeah, it feels very different. It looks, from this kind of zoomed out view, the game kind of looks similar despite all the visual upgrades we did, but it plays very differently with the timers and the concealment. It's really much faster, and I think you have to play a riskier play style than the EW players are probably comfortable with. That's where I think all those comments about watching people play, they're like, why are you moving there? Like it's crazy, but you really, I take it all personally. That's why I'm.
It's all right,
mentioning
Mark.
it.
It's all right.
I'm
Don't
just
worry
trying to
about
air
it.
all my grievances right now. But I think it really feels different, and that will, when the EU players first play, I think they're really gonna feel that. Like they're gonna feel, I gotta get moving. I don't really feel safe with this move, but I gotta get to the objective. Or
I think people just hearing about it, especially advanced players, they're a little. It causes them a little bit of discomfort to hear that there's timers on missions. What? I didn't have that much on Enemy Unknown or Enemy Within, and we don't want that. But it is about sort of turning the game around and surprising the player a little bit for this. It's a sequel. It's a new game. You want them to develop new play styles. Still make sure it's fun. That's our job, to make sure it's fun. And then there's so many micro things as well, like alien abilities. So the Viper pulling players out of cover. That's something that cover is cover.
This guy knows.
Cover is something, that's your safety blanket. That's your safety net. And so the designer said, how do we take that away? In a way that we didn't do at all in Enemy Unknown or Enemy Within. So those sorts of alien abilities and things, those surprises are all throughout the game. And I think that's what makes this feel so special the longer you play, even if you're an advanced XCOM player. And we haven't even gotten to the strategy layer and how different that is. But that is a completely different way. You have to think about it very, very differently from Enemy Unknown.
Ben, anything that caught you off guard?
Yeah, I mean, they really covered it. There's not honestly that much for me to add, but because knowing what your enemy is going to do, the first time a Viper stuck its tongue across the map and pulled my guy all the way over and then wrapped around it, I was just like, it's a special kind of despair. I think that, other games don't give.
We're glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Well, we're near the end of the show. How are we doing on questions? Have people
We're doing
been...
great on questions. Or is it time for questions?
If we feel we have enough to cover the rest of the show.
We have enough, absolutely.
I got some more questions just in case, but I'm curious to jump into chat and see what people
Cool.
are asking.
So there is one question I've been getting all night. We got to figure out how to acknowledge this. Basically, everyone wants to know when or if this game is coming to consoles.
Oh, wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah.
No. So we have been focused on PC only. Firaxis is we're a PC studio. That's where our pedigree lies. And when we sat down with the leadership group of this project, and they said, "Here's everything we want to do. Here's the immense scope." We made the decision to say we need to focus on one platform, so we do not split mindshare and risk losing any of these features. And we got everything in that you guys wanted to do. So that's part of the magic of this experience. And one of the other core pillars was modding, which we haven't even talked about yet, and that's something that you can do on PC. So we're releasing this whole SDK that allows you to completely modify the game. We're giving the assets. You can do total conversions, partial modifications, and that's why we went the way we went.
You're releasing that with the launch?
Yep.
Just like, here's the game. You
Yes.
just play around with it.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty crazy.
Yes.
So that was in that initial meeting of here's everything we want. We want to do this and this and this with the game.
Modding was a huge core pillar. When we finished Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within, and there was some very talented modders out there that did some things with the game that really surprised us, and we didn't do a good job of giving them supporting tools with those games, and we said we wanted to write that for XCOM 2.
What'd they do?
The Long War. I don't know if you've heard of the Long War, but that's probably the go-to example. And it's basically taking vanilla XCOM Enemy Unknown and making it very long. That's all I have to say about it. No, you want to expand on it?
Yeah, they changed around a lot of stuff. I think they obviously made it longer, and it's much more difficult, and they have like subclasses of aliens, and it's kind of like
subclasses of XCOM.
Yeah, and there's like
well.
more skill trees, and they added guys will get fatigued on missions, and I think they played around with it. So it was kind of like you had multiple Sky Rangers, like you could kind of do two things at once. So they did it, and I think they had multiple alien base missions. So like you could take back countries by like doing the alien base missions. So they did a lot of stuff, which was crazy because it's like I worked with like that code, and it's not very moddable. So they did some like black magic and kind of made their own experience out of it.
And they really extended sort of the awareness and life of Enemy
definitely.
Unknown and Enemy Within and other modders that did some small things as well. So if they're doing that without any support from us, we can't wait to see what the community can do when we actually give them support.
That's what's interesting is that, you're in this position of power to say, okay, let's do it. Because that, I imagine, is a scary thing to your bosses to say, hey, we're going PC only and we're allowing mods. We're just giving out an SDK. We're going to let them do whatever they want to our game. And they said, yeah, cool. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the publisher, the directors that we work with, they're awesome. They really listen to what design wants to do with projects, and they support that. It really was pretty straightforward, and it's a testament to them as well.
Mission complete.
Oh, we got another mission complete.
Well, look at him sitting over there.
I was so proud of myself because there was only one enemy left, and none of my guys were damaged.
Yeah.
And then he just got a critical and killed somebody. Like at the very end, I was like, no, I was so close.
Oh,
But it was
man.
fun. Yeah.
Well done, Ben.
Harsh lessons learned.
Didn't have to restart that one though, so
Nice.
it's all right.
Very nice.
We're making progress. I'm
Improvement,
learning things.
That is. I guess you're just getting started on the strategy layer as well, so you didn't.
Yeah.
You
just
haven't
getting
really
started.
gotten the ball roll there yet.
Yeah, just got modular weapons and the armor. So
Cool.
good stuff, man.
Keep them coming, Cal. What do we got?
Okay, this comes from Garmore.
Strong name.
Did you see a sales spike in the wake of Pro Jared's video series? I guess if not, do you ever see like a video come out and that actually like increases sales?
We honestly don't have visibility to that. But a lot of we see. We don't. There's
you don't even know. You just put your game out there and like hope for the best.
No, we don't have visibility. Well, both in
We put our
sales
videos out there and hope
also
for the best,
to
so.
correlation of sales based on the videos released. So
Yeah.
No, but we love watching the videos that come out, and we totally appreciate them when people do Let's Plays and things like that.
Yeah, apparently Garmore bought it because of Pro Jared's videos.
Well, thank you.
Well,
I guess that's
Jared-
why it pays off to be like nice and like put out like the SDK and everything. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it all pays off in the end. People watch videos on things and then buy games based off of it.
I think it's the right thing to do for the game, and we'll see how it works out. Hopefully, it also works out business-wise. But we made a creative decision first and foremost, and we think it'll be the right thing to do for that community and for the game, and then hopefully it'll get supported because of that.
Yeah.
This next one's a two-part question. This comes from CDJ Gamer. What are some things you took away from XCOM 1 to improve 2?
You want to take this one?
Well, I mean, there's some clear stuff like kind of we didn't want the strategy layer to kind of have a dominant strategy. In EU, there was kind of a strategy of you want to build satellites and you want to get engineers so you can make more satellites and you kind of get coverage, and that's what you did to be successful in XCOM Enemy Unknown. But now the strategy layer is very like you have tons of options, and at any given moment, this could be the best option, or this other thing could be the best option, or maybe both are equally viable. So really creating a more varied experience, in each playthrough and from playthrough to playthrough. It was one of our like major focuses of kind of the macro game of XCOM. And then tactical wise, I mean, there was like another dominant strategy of kind of leapfrog at the beginning of the game in Overwatch, just like move forward Overwatch, because you didn't want to reveal somebody and not be ready. But now we have the whole concealment system where you kind of have more free reign to move around and kind of scout, and it feels much quicker, and you kind of get into the action faster. So those were kind of, two high-level ways that we did that on kind of both layers of the game.
So was there a meeting where it was like, hey, what could we do better? Was that like the goal of it, or is it just kind of like I have new ideas, or the other way around?
Well, I think going into the sequel, we always, we looked at feedback and new stuff we wanted to do, and Garth can probably speak to it better because I came in like slightly after that point.
Yeah, there was some things that our creative director, Jake Solomon, always wanted to do. One of those was procedural maps.
Yeah, wow.
And we didn't do that for Enemy Unknown, although we prototyped it, learned some lessons, took our licks, and then we said, here's how we're going to do it right for XCOM 2. And he had some ideas, other leads on the team, like Greg Furch, our art director, he knew he wanted to really increase the visual fidelity. That's another pillar, so we changed our rendering pipeline, made it physically based rendering, so now you have all this dynamic lighting that we didn't have in Enemy Unknown. So there's sort of these things that the creative leads want to do. You weigh those. On my end and design's end, we also took a hard look at what the reaction was to Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within. We actually compiled reviews, posts on popular forums, and said, what are people talking about the most? What do they wish they had? And when those things align, they're definite things that we then want to do in the sequel. Procedural maps was one of those. And the open-ended strategy that Mark was talking to earlier was also another one of those that aligned.
If people want to communicate to you, what's the best way? If they want to be one of those opinions that are read?
So there's formal 2K forums. There's user support in there, and then there's also design discussions, whatever they want to talk about under the XCOM 2 forum. There's also subreddits and things like that. And if you have any bugs, please tweet Mark Nada.
Yeah, as long as you follow first. Get that number up.
Any single bug. Oh, I forgot part 2 of that question.
Oh, okay.
How much goo is there in XCOM 2?
Goo?
Yeah, how much goo is in the game?
Is Ghostbusters?
Well, I mean, some enemies can be considered mostly goo.
Yeah.
So, a healthy amount? Is that? I don't know what he wants.
I'm gonna have to.
How much goo have you encountered so far, Ben?
If by goo you mean like blood, a lot of different colors of blood. Green,
like brown,
blood.
yellowish, green.
Yep.
Yeah.
I hope that was a satisfactory answer.
Sure. I
Not
hope
too
so,
much,
too.
but
I love
just
that
enough.
When
Goo?
they asked for clarification, you didn't give it to them. You just repeated the question.
Well, I'm not up on strategy slang, so I'm like, if they don't know what goo is,
You're
All
not
I got is
listening to
goo.
me. How much goo?
How much goo?
I don't know if this is a code for something that we're not quite getting.
there was a strategy game called
Is this
Grey
what-
Goo last year, right?
Yeah. Nice pull,
I didn't know if
Brandon
goo
Jones.
was a strategy theme.
Sure.
It's like generated offensive.
Yeah, were you
some,
inspired by Grey Goo? Did you pull anything from Grey Goo?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe great
Ooh,
goose.
what do you think about that, Kyle?
Great.
Captain Sarcasm. Yes, they did.
Here's another one. This is from Joetown17. Oh, this one's okay. This is a serious one. Here we go.
Okay.
I loved XCOM Enemy Unknown. I think it was great. I played it for hours and hours, but I was absolutely horrible at it. My good guys die, my mediocre guys die, my replacements die. Everyone dies.
This is sad.
Everyone, even on easy. Can you give me any advice to help me not suck so much at this awesome game?
Wow. God, my get good reflexes. It's what makes you get good?
Get good,
No,
get good.
No, I mean,
this is up your turn.
I think don't be afraid to take risks, but sometimes you gotta play it safe. Always.
You're trying to get him killed again. What is this?
I am a very risky player, so
You are.
don't be scared to move up there next to him to get that high percentage shot.
So he's losing on easy.
Even on easy.
All right. Is he? I wish I could have a conversation with this
With
poor soul.
Joetown? Sure.
Is he
think
at
there's
least
some
using
kinda
like high
like-
cover? Is this you?
It's not. I'm not.
Is this a
Joetown.
front?
I'm asking for a friend.
You're asking for a friend.
Yeah.
You know, use high cover. Make sure you're flanking.
Joetown.
Use explosives to take out cover of aliens. And use Overwatch healthily.
Are there like videos I should go watch?
Pro Jared here made a really
Yeah,
good.
maybe I should go watch Pro Jared. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of streamers and guys who do let's plays. We've done on the hardest difficulty. You can see our
Streaming?
elite strats.
Yeah.
Tell us where to go see that.
Just said you can Google XCOM 2 on YouTube. You
It's
know.
like twitch.tv/Firaxis
Twitch stuff.
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Come on,
Google it.
Garth.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say other outlets, Mark. Come on now.
Sure.
They
That's fine.
they
That's
asked
right.
us,
Yeah.
Garth.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fine.
And
long as they don't step on
Beagle
their
Rush is an awesome streamer. People can check him out too. He's definitely advanced. He probably plays the game more than any of us, but he's really good.
Do you like to watch that? Like somebody at a professional level playing your game?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, obviously, we don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of like long form content like that, but it's good to see how, like you said before, it's good to see how people play and maybe the unexpected stuff they do that you hadn't even thought of.
You know what I think is a funny testament to this is that Garth is actually very closely paying attention to Ben's play. Whenever Ben is actually playing the game, your eyes are just like straight on that
watching him.
monitor.
I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
I have changed my playstyle based on their conversations during the
What
show.
did you
Changing
change?
in real
What did you
time?
actually change?
I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna get right up there. It's gonna be
And has it
risky.
paid
It'd
off?
be risky.
Well, we'll see.
You,
mean,
you said the word
I'm in the-
risk
I'm
like
in the
20 times
setup.
this hour.
I
so
feel
think
like
the
I'm just like
riskiness.
dooming these legions of virtual men and women to.
It's the katana sword that makes me nervous. Like,
Oh,
what-
it's my favorite thing.
so you run up to a person and slice?
So you gotta be smart about it, Kyle. You can't
Yeah.
just run up there and slice, okay?
Okay,
You don't.
alright.
If
Yeah,
there's like
come
a
on.
legion of aliens, you don't just run up there and swing your sword.
Sure.
But if there's one guy left, it's like your consistently most like highest percentage thing to hit, and
Yeah.
it does like the most damage. So you use it to like finish the job.
Yeah, what he
guy.
said.
Cleans
Pretty
up.
Come on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that idea for a unit. It's so risky. I don't think I couldn't do it. I couldn't put one slicer on my team.
Oh, it's the best.
But I want to piggyback that question real quick.
Sure.
Because this mods thing I think is fascinating. There's lots of developers that are very tentative about mods. They're just like, oh, we don't really want to get into that because we don't know what our fan base is going to do with that. You learn so much from people's comments in the first game. If somebody releases a killer mod very quickly after releasing this to the public, are you gonna be able to have time to spend time with that mod? Like, is that something that you look forward to possibly learning from? To say if there's something like Enemy Within, if there's some other add-ons to the game, or starting the lessons that you need to go into something like XCOM 3. Is that something you plan to make time for, or is that again just like we need to focus on the game and what our plans already were for post-launch?
It'll definitely be a balancing act. I mean, the team's primary job is to continue to develop content and build our own designs that we come up with internally. But I think design is always aware of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely we're very pumped about kind of what the community's going to make, and that includes like silly stuff and total conversions, but also like it'd be great to see some people like take the design in interesting areas and see what we can learn from that because they'll be using kind of the tool set that we use and see where people take it. It's definitely something we'll keep an eye out, and through Steam Workshop, hopefully the cream will rise to the top and we can kind of see what people are liking.
Well, you mentioned before the cream that rose to the top was a mod that made the game even longer than this already long game.
Yeah.
And it's like, that sounds cool. I don't have time to really explore all the avenues that takes this game. But
That's true. I tried it. I didn't get very far for various reasons. It's very hard, but also the time. We're working on other stuff. But
so we found your limit. is what
yeah,
you're saying.
well, I mean, the first UFO that hunted me down was a battleship, and that's when I decided I might have to.
You're like,
might
maybe
have to
not for
break.
me.
Yeah, this one's a little too difficult even for me. But there was an audience there for that really wanted that sort of extreme experience with XCOM, and that's what modding is all about.
Mr.
Ian
Ian
has a
Hank.
question.
Hi. I
Hi.
have a question.
Yeah.
So my dream, all-female katana squad. How viable is that? Is
Not
that doable?
viable.
Not viable.
Not viable.
What? No, it is totally viable. Why is it not
I'm
viable?
not 100%
Ben?
sure that
curious.
question was directed at you, Ben. But,
Hey, anyone can answer this
Ben's
question.
getting a little too comfortable with the
Yeah.
game. You trying to take one of our
Sorry.
seats? What's
Sorry.
going on
No,
here?
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have
Get
said
off my
anything.
turf,
Should have said anything.
No, that's totally viable. So you can not only train soldiers how you want to train them in the Guerrilla Tactics School, but then you can go into our character pool creator and assign gender, assign nationality, whatever type of squad you want to make, you can do. And these are little small additions that we didn't even have in Enemy Unknown.
I actually had a question about character customization, so why don't we ask about that now? How is it? What's it like in XCOM 2? And then
Good question.
This comes from Windfishy. No, okay, this
What
comes
is
from
it?
Windfishy.
Who is it?
In XCOM 1, I made squads with Master Chief, Gears of War characters, Commander Shepard, and Ashley, and so on. I'm still mourning my loss of Anya Stroud, which is a Gears of War character.
Yeah.
Never forget. So clearly, Windfishy got attached to these characters, especially because you can create the characters. So, like, what's it like in XCOM 2?
Well, if you're still mourning the loss, it's going to be much, much worse in XCOM 2 because the customization is kind of like we double down on it. There's way more options. Obviously, the visual fidelity is way up. We let you even change their gender and nationality, which you couldn't before, so you can kind of make exactly who you want. You know, at higher levels, you can customize even more stuff, like you can get a personality, and you can write their biography, and it's really crazy. For
And
this
then
kinda,
they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're brutally murdered.
Writing their biography is actually very interesting. You'd like write a blurb about
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's
right.
And then
cool.
you can write their epitaph after they're dead. We let you do that too.
You really can?
Yeah, yeah.
That is a strange feature that I really like that you added.
Yeah, it's it's pretty necessary at some points for some players.
Yeah.
Looking at Garth.
Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember whose
Well
idea it
spelled.
was? Who said, "Hey, we should make it so you can add an epitaph after they die"?
I don't know. It's probably Jake's.
It just felt so.
Right.
It just felt so right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. It's
It's
one of
like
those
natural.
ideas.
Yeah.
what's that guy's epitaph going to be, Ben?
Which guy?
Have you lost somebody?
No.
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 Oh, I just saw somebody.
Ben has become
just saw
expert
somebody hit the
overnight.
dirt.
He's just like
All right.
He just has
mind
someone.
merging with us.
Watch this sword. Watch this sword.
Okay, here we go.
Man, I was hoping that would miss. I can't miss. Watch
Nice.
this sword.
And this guy's from Mexico. That was cool.
Yeah, I think it's a lady.
Oh, okay. This lady was
Yeah.
from Mexico.
Yep.
Sorry, lady. Okay, next question. This one has been repeating a lot, so I'd have to ask this for shames.
Okay.
Is there a second wave to unlock like an XCOM Enemy Unknown? I really love the option to randomize perks of each soldier, and is there a way to mod a class with dual pistol and throwing knife? Is it possible to mod a character animation for this gun hold animation?
That question came
that
up
marked.
multiple
It's-
times.
I've seen it like just even
Yeah,
like,
that's
From multiple users?
Yeah, no, from Shames.
Oh, just
Yeah,
okay.
Shames
Okay.
really wants this
What was
read
the
out
first
loud.
part of that question?
Is there a second wave to unlock?
So we currently don't have the second wave stuff. I mean, there's a few things you kind of fiddle around with, but we do have a facility that kind of gives you you can have soldiers get random abilities, kind of like that second wave option. So that is just default in the game now, not even a second wave. So, but yeah, right now there's not like specific second wave stuff.
People can create their own second wave.
Oh,
through
yeah.
modding, right?
Yeah, let's mod it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Everything is in the game.
Yeah, everything's in there technically.
Yeah.
The next part, is it possible to mod a dual wielding knife
Knife.
throwing?
New animation, pose.
Yeah, I mean depending on your level of talent with the kind of content creation, that stuff is possible. Obviously, there is a skill barrier there to do animations with the character rigs and stuff, but it is possible. Yeah.
This is another frequently requested question.
Last question.
Oh, whoa. The high stakes
Is this
on
good
thing.
for last question?
Well, then I have to do a second to last question.
Okay, two more.
Just for...
I'm cutting you off.
Okay. Yeah. We have to do our traditional question. This comes from Enzo Matori Kusu. What did you think of the strategy combat in Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door?
Oh. Weren't we talking about that the other day or something similar to that?
We're talking about like Super Mario RPG.
Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And when did I play that game?
Does Paper Mario have the... Oh, man, I'm going to... I can't speak intelligently on it, but does it have the turn-based combat with...
Oh, absolutely.
With
And you gotta,
the
like, time
real-time
it.
elements?
It's
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
JRPG.
Okay, I
yeah,
can talk on it
yeah.
then.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Yeah, we love it.
I was like, there's not like a grid-based thing.
No,
and I was like, what?
No.
no.
Turn-based and then the real-time sort of enhancements, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very cool. I think finding ways to blend some real-time stuff in is very interesting, and I thought they did it pretty well. And obviously it wasn't like this big thing on top of it. It was like, oh, you get more damage, or you crit if you do the certain timing or whatever at the end. But yeah, it was very cool. I I like that when people mix up the traditional formula of, in that case, like kind of JRPG style combat. So I thought it felt really good.
Cool. Thank you for acknowledging that. There's always never mind.
Is this another one of your questions?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
Yeah.
This computer's not on. It's just,
Enzo Matorakisu is just a bunch of
He
words.
has a shrine for
Okay.
Paper Mario.
This one's been repeated many times. So this comes from Ramses Von Dewey. Great name. Is there anything you can tell us about multiplayer?
yeah.
A lot.
Oh,
Get
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is in form similar to how EU was, but we've shaken it up a lot with. They'll have procedural maps, so the maps will always be different. Obviously, the new alien roster is in there, and they have much crazier abilities than the enemies in Enemy Unknown did. And yeah, I mean, it should be familiar, but also, I mean, there's things like the Phantom Ranger is one of the guys you can get, and he has concealment in multiplayer, so that's very interesting. And some of the late game aliens have very crazy stuff they can do, so it'd be interesting to see. Like we did some internal tournaments and stuff, and found some broken stuff that I had to fix. But
Yeah. And if you're unfamiliar, it's a one-on-one death
Right.
match. It's
I probably should have said that.
point based, and it's sort of like a toy chest. You can mix and match XCOM soldiers with aliens and sort of create your dream squad and then face off against somebody with it.
How do you mean point based?
So units will be worth a certain amount of points, and some guy's gonna equip utility items, and those will be worth points. And it'd be like, for this match, each team gonna have 10,000 points.
Oh, so it's kind of like Warhammer, basically. Like you just have that limited pool that you can pull
Yeah.
from.
Yes.
Yeah, I get
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Mark and I
yeah.
play that every day at lunch.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I play a lot of Warhammer. So that's okay. So anyway, point based, one-on-one. So your unit is basically you could have two people if they're just have a ton of stuff
That's
on
right.
them.
So yeah, so you could go from anywhere from 6 to
2,
1 or
probably,
2.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm very curious about this. I know, sorry, this is the last question, so I'm dragging it out. The internal tournament that you had, was it serious or was it just let's just goof
People
around?
took
Or was
it-
Serious.
It was annoying as a designer because people would find the exploits and then everyone would use it. Like, we're not getting any more data. I know this is broken. Please wait. I can't rebuild it right now.
You have to ban that build in the middle of the tournament.
But
People took it very seriously.
yeah.
Everyone's talking about it, and everyone wants to win it. So, yeah, I think someone
I
actually.
didn't win.
No.
I was really sad.
Yeah, that's all right.
I was balancing the units and didn't.
Thank
win.
you for offering that information. I was going to ask, but that's
Yeah.
that's
It's
big
because
of you,
they were
I
using the exploits.
think. Okay, there we go. All right, turn it around.
Yeah. Before you say how gracious I am, let me hold you right
And
now.
then you were you didn't want to use exploits yourself? You were too good
No,
for that?
no. I wanted to see what
Yeah.
everything could do.
Yeah. I would have used those exploits to beat my coworkers at a game. You know what I mean? I think that's what's so amusing to me is it's you are all making this game together, and now it's time to throw down and see who is the best.
See what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian, rules before the personal win. What do you think? If you found an exploit, would you take it?
Against Bossman, yeah.
Because Bossman
Normally-
would do it too, so you might as well.
Yeah, but in Bloodborne and Dark Souls, I prefer an honorable fight, no healing and all that stuff. So I like an honorable fight, but whatever.
And Ben, you're very honorable.
It depends.
You're a good guy.
It depends.
What a great
Follow by
answer
the
to
rules.
someone telling you you're honorable. It depends.
If I'm versing you guys, it might get a little dirty.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow, so learn to expect those things now.
I thought we were
Gonna
friends.
do any one-on-one XCOM 2. I will keep that under advisement. Before we wrap up the show, I want to talk about just really briefly stuff we're doing this week. If you guys have time, I don't know if you're busy.
course.
Game comes out in a month. If you want to check out some videos,
Sure.
blow off some steam. We already talked about the top 10 games that might suck. We are getting into our ultimate gaming preview, where we will sit down and talk about multiple genres and all the cool games that are coming out in those respective genres, which will culminate in our top 10 anticipated games of 2016 next week. The week after that, we are doing the top 10 anticipated games 2016 as picked by our community. You can go into the forums on GameTrailers.com right now, and I believe it is in general gaming, and you can talk about, you can vote for XCOM among other games. And if you leave comments in the description of specifically why you like that, we will possibly put that in the script, and then I will read that when we post the video. There's a GT time, a final bossman, and a mandatory update this week, but I specifically want to point out Huber Hype this week, because I'm on it
Okay.
for the first time ever. It's my first appearance on Humor Hype.
The only time you've ever cared about Huber Hype, it sounds like.
You got it.
That'll be next week.
100% true. Or is that
Ian,
next week's Huber? Next
Ian,
week's Huber Hype.
Chat
Correct.
really wants the game full screen because they think Ben's about to wipe.
Yeah.
Is
Ooh, wait. Okay, well,
Oh.
hold on.
What's going on, Ben?
Hold on. We'll just hold everything.
I'm fighting a lot of dudes. That's what's happening.
How many people do you have left?
I have my whole team.
A lot of
left.
rounds.
Okay, he's got the whole
All
team
right.
left. He's not about to wipe. Chat.
It
Have
just
faith in
depends
Ben.
on how these shots go. Like, it depends on how greedy I get.
Okay. What are your
There's a guy above me.
options?
I'm being flanked right now, which is
Go for
which is
broke.
bad
It's
news.
the end of the stream.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
you
go
could,
for broke.
All right, fine. You know what, guys?
Crunch, Ben,
this is
crunch.
on you then. If I
Here we
die.
go. We got to end with a crunch.
Here it comes.
Get some.
Yep. All right.
Oh, that's not a good start,
Okay.
Ben.
Not a good start. No, not a good start.
No, no.
55% chance.
Like we said, percentages are completely fair.
Yes.
So should he have charged closer to get a better percentage?
Well, I can't see.
I
what
would just
other
not have
shots he
gotten in the
has.
situation, I feel like.
Oh, okay.
All right, that's helpful.
Not a helpful answer, Mark.
Because it looks like he's pinned down right now in this area. Is that the case, Ben? Are you surrounded?
I am surrounded, but it was big
That was
because
cool.
now the reanimated guy is gone.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a 2-for-1 right there.
Okay.
So that was a good shot. That was a good shot. I needed that. You have to talk yourself up sometimes.
Yeah. That was a great play.
You're doing all right. What else does he have going on? I can't. What's his mission objective?
So they're coming at me
Can you
from
see?
both sides.
Oh, he's
so
rest-
I
he's
got
extracting.
people
Okay.
out here,
Uh,
which is bad,
Right.
but not as bad as this because my hostage is exposed.
oh.
You do have the hostage. You're doing extraction.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
doing extraction. I'm
And how
just
many-
gonna get real
5
close and
turns?
shoot him in the
Yeah,
face.
You're okay.
You're right up there.
He's not going to wipe. I have faith.
I think that speaks to the game's unpredictability, though.
Oh my gosh.
That you have to kind of look at it really closely to figure out what's going on. What exactly are you doing at that point?
This is.
As opposed to just like, oh yeah, that level. Yeah, I played that a billion times.
Oh,
yeah, no.
oh boy.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, you shouldn't have moved up there.
Oh boy.
No, yeah, you literally you can't just say that's this level. This is a
Yeah,
fully
with-
procedural game
With
and
procedural
it's,
maps, and then there's tons of different locations and stuff. So, yeah, and we hadn't been watching, so
No, we hadn't been watching it. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to catch myself up by looking at what the objectives are, where he is on the map, where the extraction point is. There's always something you need to analyze and really think about. There's definitely a lot to it.
Good luck, Ben. May the force be
Yes.
with you.
You-
This,
you'll-
this
you'll be
person's
good.
dead. This
You got
person's
it.
gone, I think.
So yeah, back to me being on Humor Hype. It should be a
So
good episode.
that'll be Tuesday of next
That'll
week.
be Tuesday. We
Yeah.
are taking Monday off. And tonight we have more streams. Tonight at 8:30, Brad, Ben, and Kyle are sitting down to play Super Mario RPG
Oh yeah.
for to continue their full playthrough. And tomorrow, Ben, you will be playing Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen on the PC.
Yeah.
Another fun PC release happening this year.
No. Not just a fun PC release. Excellent game.
Oh, okay.
Excellent game.
Wow.
Yeah,
Hey,
wow.
hey, Ben.
Yeah.
Ben,
Put my
you're playing
place there.
XCOM too right now.
Also, so far. Well, we'll see how this turn goes. That was a critical. This game sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This turn will be the deciding factor. And then we were really fortunate to get a custom NES given to us at PSX this year. We were going to crack that baby open, and I'm going to pop in Legendary Wings, which is not a game a lot of people are familiar with it on the NES.
Never
Of
heard of
course.
Legendary Wings.
Legendary
There's a lot of
Wings.
really kooky, obscure NES games.
NES?
And so, yeah,
Is that the
Nintendo
Cursor to
Entertainment
Pilot
System.
Wings, or am I talking?
It's kind of like Akari Warriors. It's kind of like,
Oh, okay.
or kind of like 1942.
yeah. Okay.
So, but with some weird angelic guy with a
Yeah.
rocket or something.
Sure.
It's the advantage of having
course.
that is that because there's not games that are released on the eShop ever. You know what I
Right.
mean? That game will never come back.
So hopefully I introduce that game to a lot of people for the first time tomorrow.
cool.
And hopefully I'm not too terrible at it. Is there anything you guys are doing specifically other than this awesome game you're releasing next month? Any events that people can look forward to prior to the launch of XCOM 2?
I don't know, Mark. You got anything up your sleeve for you?
No.
We're just working hard to finish the game.
Yep.
I know you guys are excited to get it out there for everyone.
Why do you say you guys?
Well, Mark,
You're done. You're done with it right now. You're not.
No. I mean,
I'll get an email that a bug has been assigned to me from
That's right.
Garth.
Yes.
But,
And it was you guys' fault.
yeah.
No. You guys being, it's my job to support the team, but these guys really make the game, design, art, sound, UI, writing, all that stuff. And so I'm excited on behalf of the team and for all those content creators for them to get it out there and let people finally have fun with it. They did a fantastic job.
You did I feel like you're underselling yourself. You're a component
really
of
don't
this,
do
dude. Okay, all right.
Let me stop you right there. No, Garth is great. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Garth is a great.
Garth is
Hey,
great.
Garth is a
me.
great
I can't think of anything.
I know.
I can't lie to these
insert
men.
compliment here.
Yeah.
Ben, you're a
Edit that in
great.
post.
Anyway,
Just playing
Release
something.
date.
February 5th of this year.
Yeah, very soon.
On PC.
Cool.
Yep.
and if you like what you see, hopefully Ben, have you been selling it, Ben? Are you sold? How do you feel about XCOM now? You've been playing a lot of it. Has your opinion changed at all
In this
your
moment, I
playthrough
feel
during
pretty,
this show?
In this moment, I feel pretty bad.
What's going on? Do you still have everyone?
He's getting a
No,
grenade thrown.
no, I
Oh,
lost